Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ielts Insider channel. Today, we are going to be talking about Ielts listening. So, in the live stream today, we are going to try and explain some things about the Ielts listening test. We'll be looking at some things. Let me see. So we'll be looking at the test format. So that's looking at how many parts. Then the types of recordings. So what kind of speeches will you be listening to? We will look at the possible question types in the listening exam. And when we look at each of the possible question types, I will show you some of the examples of how they actually look on the paper test or on the computer test. Very, very similar look to them. And then, as usual with these live streams, we'll have some questions and answers. Please remember, if you have any questions, that you can write them in the chat as we are going along. I will try to answer as many questions as I can during the live stream. And if you're watching this video after the live stream, then by all means, write some questions in the comments section of the video, and I will answer some of your questions there as well. So, before we go on with today's lesson, just to remind you, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Please like the video, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Ielts YouTube channel or like the page on Facebook or Instagram. The links to all of our social media and website are in the link below this video, so please check them out if you have some time. So, who's in the chat today? So, Layla's here. Hi, James. So, hi, Layla. And Layla is asking, how was your weekend so far? Actually, I had quite a quiet weekend. I didn't do much this weekend. I had a little bit of work to do yesterday and went for a walk in the afternoon. And then today I've mostly been preparing for this live stream. So quite a quiet weekend. I know, Layla, this is the beginning of the week for you. It's the weekend has finished. I hope you had a great weekend. Please let me know, everyone, if you did anything at the weekend. Tell me about it. Sleepwalker is here and he's saying hello, everyone. And James, hi. Hi, Sleepwalker. I hope you are very well. And Anna Maria is saying good morning, James. So good morning in Colombia. I believe it's very, very early, 6 a.m. maybe. Yeah. And Anna Maria is saying hello to the other members as well. Very nice. And Layla's saying hi, everyone. And Lavagna's here as well. Hello, Lavagna. I hope you are doing well today. I hope you've had a nice weekend so far as well. I can hear and see you, James. Great. It's always good to know that you can see and the voice is coming through clearly in these live streams. So thank you very much, Layla. And who else is in today? Sally May. Hello, everyone. Hello, Sally May. And oh, I missed Eunice. Eunice is here. Hello, Teacher James. Hello, everybody. Hello, Eunice. I hope you are doing very well today. Okay, and there's a lot of conversation going on between everybody? Anna Marie's, yes, 6 a.m. in Colombia. Very good. Layla's telling us about her weekend. Yes, I spent a lot of time with my family because some of my family members, I haven't seen them for a long time. Well, it's always good to catch up with family and spend some quality time together. So I'm happy for you, Layla. It's very nice when we haven't seen some people for a long time to get together and see what they've been up to. Very, very nice. Sleepwalker's just saying, Eunice, big smiley face. Sally Mae is saying today is a working day in my country. So that's similar to Layla in Saudi Arabia. Monday is a work day. So Sally Mae, what country do you come from? If you could write that in the chat, and I can remember for future lessons. And she's saying, hey, Sleepwalker, I hope you're doing well. Okay, so I think we've caught up with everybody before we start today's lesson. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and hopefully you find today's lesson useful. Okay, just before we go on, Sally Mae is saying, I'm from Iran, so maybe similar in Saudi Arabia and Iran, where maybe Friday and Saturday would be your weekend. Sunday is a working day, possibly. Okay, thank you very much for answering there, Sally Mae. So we're going to be talking about the listening section of the IELTS test. So for this IELTS test, the listening section is the same for both tests, the academic and the general training. There is no different listening tests for this. There's only one test. So you don't need to worry about which test you're preparing for because there is only one. So that's good news. So in the listening test, you are going to hear 4 different recordings. All of them involve native English speakers. There will be a variety of accents used. Some will be British, maybe Canadian, American, Australian, South African. There will be a wide variety of accents used in these recordings. You will hear each recording only once. So you really have to listen carefully and make sure you pick out the most important information. You will answer a series of questions about each recording. And before you actually hear the listening, you will have around 30 seconds to preview the questions before the recording starts. So it gives you a little bit of time to quickly read the questions before you listen. This time here is very important, I think, because it gives you an idea of what you should be listening for. So it's not a lot of time, but it is valuable time to read those questions. In the listening test, there will be a total of 40 questions. Each section will have 10 questions. And the questions will appear in the order that they occur in the recording. So if something is spoken at the beginning of the recording, the question will be near the beginning. If something is spoken at the end of the recording, the question will be near the end. So you don't have to kind of worry that question 10 is going to be about the beginning. They will come in order. So you will have 30 minutes to answer all of the questions for the 4 parts, and then you will have a further 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the exam paper. So again, it really depends which test you're doing, if it's the computer test or it's the paper test. But in both tests, you get the chance. You get 10 minutes to transfer your answers from your sheet onto the computer or onto the exam paper. This part is very important as well. Each recording will become more difficult as the test progresses. So, part one is the easiest type of recording with more simplistic questions. Part two is a little more difficult. Part three is even more difficult. And part four is the most difficult. So, in a way, I think the way they've structured it is quite good for you as test takers because part one can kind of ease you in. You can get your ears used to the speed of speech. Um, and then as you go through, part two, three, and four become more difficult. I think part three and four, especially, are more difficult because of the subject matter. Part one and two are about everyday life, everyday situations. So they're slightly easier and most people could understand them. Part three and four are a little bit different because they will be based on maybe something about a university lecture or some sort of training. It will be a specific topic. So these parts will be more difficult. So, what we're going to quickly look at here is the types of recording that will be used for each of the four parts. So, as I just said, parts one and two will deal with everyday English situations. And in recording one, you will hear a conversation between two people in an everyday social context. So I've given kind of some examples. It could be someone reserving a table at a restaurant, somebody booking a trip, requesting information. So things that are going to be important here are listening maybe for names of places, times, prices, maybe how many people, um, what kind of services. So, all of the information you're going to be listening for, it's all really about asking for information and somebody giving that information. So, these are just some examples of the possible types of conversation you would have in part one. Part two is a little bit different because this time the recording is not a conversation, it's a monologue. And what we mean by a monologue is just one person speaking. If you see this word mono in English, mono means single or one. So a monologue is one person, a dialogue is usually more than one person. So you're going to hear one person speaking about a topic which is about general everyday life. It could be, again, some examples could be a speech about local facilities, an explanation of a tour, or someone giving general advice. So these are just some examples. Again, places, times, prices, names, they're all going to be the important things we have to listen for in recording two. So as we can see, recordings one and two, they're about everyday situations. Okay, not so detailed. Recordings three and four are different. So, recordings 3 and 4 will be based around academic situations. So, like either maybe training programs, university or college courses. That will be the main kind of things. So, recording 3 will be a conversation, but instead of just two people, like in recording 1, recording 3 will have up to 4 people, and it will be in an educational or training context. So this immediately is more difficult. 4 people in a conversation is much more difficult to follow than just 2 people in a conversation. So we really have to try and figure out who is speaking and when they are speaking. Sometimes this can be easy if it's a male or a female voice. It's quite easy to tell the difference. Sometimes it could be a little bit more difficult if people's voices sound similar. So, some examples of recording 3 could be a student and a tutor talking about assignments or talking about their coursework. It could be students discussing a future group presentation, or it could be a general discussion about university courses or training programs. So, again, it's a much more specific type of topic we're dealing with here than we are in parts 1 and 2. So, conversation up to 4 people, and it will be in an educational context. Recording 4, again, is a monologue on an academic topic. So remember, a monologue, just one person speaking. So that could be something like a university lecture or a presentation, like a training presentation or something like that. Again, the topic is going to be academic. So it's going to be a specific topic. Maybe the lecture would be on maybe the environment, or the lecture is on government, or it could be on politics. There could be so many different topics that we have for this university lecture. So you can kind of see, as I explained before, part 1, hopefully you could see why that would be easier than part 4. So as I said, it gets a little bit more difficult as we go on. Recording 1 is a good chance for you to train your ear, get used to the speed of the speech. Recording 2 maybe gets a little more difficult. Then the topic is going to be difficult with recording 3. It's more about a specific topic. And then here will be the most difficult recording, which will be a university lecture. So hopefully you're trying to get all of the points in recording 1 or 2. That's, I think, where everybody should be focusing their energy first. Make sure you get good scores in 1 and 2. And then if 3 and 4 are a little bit more difficult, you can afford to lose some points in these and still maintain a reasonable score in the listening test. So those are the recording types. In a minute, I'm going to move on to the types of questions. However, before we do that, I think we will catch up with some of the comments. What have we got here? Oh, Sleepwalker is having coffee. So is it early in the morning where you are, Sleepwalker? Or just enjoying a coffee in the afternoon or evening? Um, we're getting good vibes. Very nice. We all like good vibes. Eunice is saying, thanks, James. Nice to see you today. You look motivated as you are at the first time. Thanks for your precious time and interactions. You are very welcome, Eunice. And we've got Wilgins here, and he's saying, "Good morning, Teacher James. Good morning, everyone." Good morning to you, Wilgins. We've got some. Oh, Sally Mae is saying she needs more coffee here. Yes, yes, very good. And Eunice is saying, "Oh, I think the most important thing in listening is how to manage time." It can be very important, yes. So after you hear one recording, you will have the time to answer the questions. But if you haven't answered all of them by the time of the next recording, that could be a problem. So, again, this has got to do a little bit about practicing the types of questions and understanding what you are listening for so that you can find those answers as quickly as possible. So, yes, I agree, Eunice. Managing time can be very, very important in the listening test. Um, what do we do here? Okay, so just one time to listen, we are in trouble. Well, hopefully, over the next week, I'm going to be doing some practice listening tests in my live streams. I'll also be offering some tips on what are the important things to listen for as well. So, like everything, Anna Maria, the more we practice these things, the easier they will become. But yeah, listening just one time can be very difficult. Yeah. I did a French test and wasted time in listening test. It was very fast. Yep. That's why we need to practice them before we do the real test. The more practice you have of a real life test situation, the less time you will waste in the real test. Yeah. And if I can't understand some stuff from the recordings during the test, no, Layla. In the listening test is very different from the speaking test. So in the speaking test, you will be face to face with an examiner. In the listening test, you will either be listening on headphones if it's a computer based test, or if you're doing the paper based test, there will be some sort of tape machine that will be playing it. But the examiner cannot give you any help in this part of the exam. You are on your own. So the reading, listening, and writing parts of the exam, there's nobody to help you. In the speaking part, it is okay to ask them to clarify something, but in the other parts, no, you are on your own, Layla. We've got a few others here. We need, the more we practice, the more we will reduce our fear. Yeah, like everything, I think the more you practice, the less nervous you will become. You will know what to expect. You will start to recognize the types of questions that are being asked and where to listen for that information. So, the more we practice, definitely the better we will become, and the quicker we will become at finding the answers in the listening. It's the first time for me here to hear this word monologue. Okay, excellent. So here's a new piece of vocabulary for you today. Yep. A monologue is just simply when one person is speaking. Only one speaker, we can say that is a monologue. Very good. I can imagine how difficult that type of recordings would be. As I said before, these kinds of recordings, I don't think will be too difficult. Lots of everyday conversation. these ones could be a little bit more difficult, especially if it's a subject that you are unfamiliar with. So that could be a problem there. Eunice is saying, oh, we read that before. Okay. When can we have more practice? Anna Maria, I am going to be doing live streams this week with listening tests in them. So I think on Tuesday I'm going to be doing a live listening test with part 1. So I will choose a recording from part 1 and I will give you 10 questions and we will be trying to do this live. On Thursday, I'm planning to do part 2 of the listening test. So we can get some practice for the listening test in the live streams this week coming. So that's a good place to practice. Sleepwalker saying, James, I'm from Russia. It's 2:20 p.m. now, but I like drinking coffee during the day. That's great. Yeah. 2:20 p.m. Okay. Very nice. I think we've got another Russian student. I don't know if they're in today. Okay, excellent. And Sleepwalker's also saying, so part 4 is an advanced level for sure. Yes, very much so. It will be on an academic subject. Yep, monologue, dialogue. So monologue, one person. Dialogue would be more than one person speaking. So a conversation between two people we could call a dialogue. A speech with one person would be a monologue. Sally Mae is saying, how is the speed of audio in the listening test? It is average speed for native speakers, so quite quick. It is something that you need to adjust to this. So to practice for the IELTS listening test, you should be listening to a lot of native speakers, listening to news programs, listening to podcasts, watching dramas in English. They're all good ways of doing this. But yeah, the speed will be natural native speaker's speech. So it will be quick. Talking to myself, we have the same word in Spanish. Okay. Perfect, James. I'm looking forward for those tests. Excellent. So the first one will be on Tuesday, Anna Maria. Great to hear that we have a live practice on your live class. Excellent, Layla. I look forward to seeing you in that class. It would be a good and practical way to practice this type of recordings. Yes. And also thanks for your help. Now, one thing I would say, when we do the live listening tests, don't worry so much if the first time you do it, you can't get a lot of the answers. Don't worry about that. This would be the first time. So nobody should be expecting to get 10 out of 10 the first time they do it. These things take a little bit of time to get used to. So the more that you can be exposed to these types of listening, the easier they will become. So don't worry too much if we do it on the live stream and you think, oh, I only got 3 answers correct, or I only got 4 correct. Don't worry so much. Remember, this is a process. You will get better as time goes on. Sleepwalker says, I have a question about writing. The US and the UK spelling of some words is different, like color and color. So is it fine if we combine both spelling? You will not lose points for using British or American spelling. However, I would suggest just to try and use one so that your writing is consistent. So if you're using British spelling in one part and American spelling in the other part, your writing would lack a little bit of consistency. So it's okay to use American spelling, it's okay to use British spelling, but I would maybe try to choose one. Now, if it's just one word, I don't think anybody's really going to notice. But if you're mixing up a lot of words, some British, some American, it lacks a little bit of consistency in your writing. So yeah, both are okay, but be careful. I would choose, if you're comfortable with American spelling, go with that always. If you're comfortable with British spelling, go with that always. Um, yeah, so that's what I'm kind of saying here. If now there's not really that many words that are spelled differently in the US and UK, so you're probably not going to have one word next to the other one, because I'm trying to think, maybe favorite color. That would be an example. My favorite color. If you spelt the favorite with British spelling and color with American spelling, it might look a little bit strange and inconsistent. So maybe just choose one and try to go with that. Yet we should expect that we might not catch what they say. Yeah, that's going to happen, Layla. You're not going to hear everything. As I said, don't worry about it. The more you do practice tests, the easier it will become. And Sleepwalker saying, yes, I thought so. We should pay attention to that. Okay, so let's go on. We've thought about the types of recording, going from the easiest to the most difficult. So now what we're going to look at is the 6 main question types. So some questions will be multiple choice. Some questions will be matching. Some you will have to label things like a diagram or a map. Some you will have a table or a chart with missing information. You need to complete that. Some will have sentences that need to be completed. And some questions will be short answer questions. So 6 different types of listening question. I'm just going to kind of explain about each one and then show you some examples of what they would look like on the test. So, first of all, we've got multiple choice questions, and these are used for 2 main purposes: to check if you have a detailed understanding of specific points and an overall understanding of the main points. So there could be some multiple choice questions talking about the listening altogether, and there could be some multiple choice questions about a specific part of the recording. And there are 2 main types of multiple choice question. First of all is a question followed by 3 possible answers. And another one is the beginning of a sentence followed by 3 possible ways to complete the sentence. So in the multiple choice, you're going to be required to choose the correct answer, A, B, or C. There's always 3 possible answers in the multiple choice. So that's the kind of first type, A, B, C. Then sometimes you will be given a longer list of possible answers with more than one answer. So, this is why it is very important to read the questions carefully before answering. So, I'll show you what I mean here. Here's the first type of question. Nice and simple. We choose the correct letter A, B, or C. So we are all present hedonists at school. Let's say that's the answer. We just choose A. American boy drops out of school at higher rates than girls because, let's say the answer was C. So there's the first type of multiple choice, only choosing one answer. The second type, this is where it's so important to read the question. If we look here, choose 3 letters, A to H. So if you just do this quickly and you go, oh, it's A, you've only got 1 point, but we need 3 answers here. So what 3 items are you recommended to take with you to the spa? Here, maybe it would be slippers, towel, swimming costume. We have to choose 3 answers. So a lot of students get caught out with this because they have read the question maybe too quickly, and they haven't noticed the word 3 here. So this is something that is very important in all of the listening questions. You have to see how many answers. So here, choose the correct letter, A, B, or C. Nice and simple. Only one answer for each. This one, choose 3 letters, A to H. We need to choose more than one. So be very careful with these questions. If it says 2 answers, choose 2. If it's only telling you to choose 1 letter, choose 1. So, okay. Oh, Eunice has brought something up from earlier on. Yeah, so favorite color, they're not consistent. Yeah. So here we have the British spelling, here we have the American. If we change this around, we could take out the U here and add a U here. And again, that wouldn't be consistent because we've got British, American, British, American. So yeah, they're not consistent. Oh, thank you, Robin, for reminding me about this. Yes, everyone, please remember to like the video. Also, please remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out all of our links in the video description. But yes, everyone, please remember to like the video. Oh, Layla has already liked it, and Sleepwalker is saying hello to Robin. Choosing multiple choices might cause some confusion. Yes, Layla, I agree with you. That is why it's so important to read the first part of the question. A lot of people just go straight on to this and they don't look at this part here. This part here is really important. Again, choose 3 letters, A to H. Okay. What 3 items? So it's really important. Again, time isn't your friend on this. You're going to be rushing, but take the time to read those questions. Yeah, so that's British. Favorite color. American would be favorite color. So there's good, Sleepwalker. There is some consistent writing now. Very good. Consistently British, consistently American. Very nice. Layla's saying, do you have any plans for making some classes related to how to develop our spelling? It is the hardest part. There will be some future live streams, and there will be a course in the coming months, and spelling will be one of the topics in it, Layla. We don't have anything planned for the immediate future within the next week or two, but there will be some videos coming soon to help develop the speaking. Okay, so that was our first type of question, multiple choice. The second type of question is matching. And these questions assess the skill of listening for detail. So you have to understand information given in a conversation. For example, if the conversation is about booking a hotel, we maybe have to listen for the different types of accommodation, and we will have a list of those accommodations, and maybe we have to match them to other descriptions. We also maybe have to follow a conversation, and this is where we would maybe have to understand who the people are and what they said, maybe what the people are doing. So, again, could be quite tough in some parts. So, you will be required to match a numbered list of items from the listening text to a set of options on the question paper. So again, here's a kind of example. So this one is about hotels. So which hotel matches each description? Choose your answer from the box and write the correct letter A to E next to questions 1 to 4. So here we have the possible answers. And from the listening, we should be able to match which one is in a rural area, which one only opened recently, which one offers facilities for business functions, and which one has an indoor swimming pool. So we'll notice there are 5 possible answers, but only 4 spaces to fit them in. So obviously that will mean one of these answers does not appear below. So again, it's important here that we read the question before we listen. And remember as well, for this type of question, this would be 4 points. So for just one question here, there's 4 points available. So again, try to read quickly, find the important words: rural, recently, business functions, swimming pool. They're the important. Try to remember the names as well. So again, this is a kind of good example of what you should expect from the matching types of questions. The next one, some people have a lot of difficulty with this type of question. And this is about labeling a map or a diagram or a plan. So this is about testing your ability to link some information to another thing. So common things here would be a description of a place, and you relate that to a visual representation, like a diagram or a map or something like that. So a possible thing here could be someone expressing directions, and you have to follow the directions on a map and then label some of the letters on a map. So for this, some language might be useful. Language for directions like go straight, turn left, it's next to, it's across from, go up the street, whatever. So this is quite a common topic here, is directions. So again, you're required to complete labels either on a plan of a building, a map, which would be a part of town, or maybe even a diagram, which would be of a piece of equipment or something like that. And the answers are usually selected from a list on the question paper. So again, let's have a look at the type of question. So for this type of question, you would probably be hearing somebody describing what is on the ground floor of the theater. You would have to listen carefully, and you're listening to where the box office is, the theatre manager's office, the lighting box, the artistic director's office, and then we have our choices A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So let's say you go through the double doors and you turn right and it's in front of you. That the lighting box is in front of you. So we would know the lighting box is C. Maybe before you go through the double doors, turn right and look straight ahead. You will see the box office. So now we know F is the box office. So that would be a kind of example of what you should be listening for in part 3, whether it be labeling a plan like this, or a map, or a diagram. Okay, before we go on, okay. So yes, Eunice, you did a typing mistake, no problem. I am done subs and like. Okay, excellent. And we need to be more familiar with scanning and skimming skills while reading the questions. What do you think about it? Yeah. So reading skills really help in the listening because we need to read those questions quickly. So skim reading at the beginning, trying to kind of find that find the important things that we're looking for. So reading through it quickly, identifying the important words. After you've listened, probably some scanning skills will be useful to kind of go back and scan for what you are exactly looking for. So yes, scanning and skimming skills could be very, very useful. I think the word assess has the same meaning as evaluate because I haven't heard it before. Yeah, assess, evaluate, test, all of them are very, very similar words. A very common word in English is assessment. You would get assessments for a lot of different things. If you go to the doctor and get checked, they will give you an assessment. We will assess students. So yeah, evaluate, test, assess, they are all synonyms of each other. Yeah. Wilkins is saying, but on the other hand, okay, so that was related to the WhatsApp group. Okay, let's go on to the fourth type of question, which is table or chart completion. So you will be required to fill in the gaps in a listening text. The outline will focus on the main ideas or facts in the text. So the type of thing that you may fill in could be a form or a set of notes. It could be a table, or it could be some sort of flow chart or diagram. So the important thing here is we see the form and we have to identify what information is missing. Then when we listen, we should be focusing on that information. So in this part, you will have to select answers from a list or identify the missing words from the recording. And you should not change the words from the recording in any way. So let's say the word in the recording is change. And if you change that word to changed and use it in past tense, that wouldn't be correct. So it has to be the same word that you hear spoken in the recording to get the point. So again, you should read the instructions very carefully. You will get an instruction like this sometimes, no more than 2 words. Test takers will be penalized for writing more than the stated number of words. So if it says no more than 2 words and you write 4 words, you're not going to get the point. If you write 3 words, you're not going to get the points. So again, it's really important to read the questions carefully. So here's an example of the table. So you would see this before the recording is played. You would scan, okay, no more than 3 words. Very good. We're looking here, okay, we need the event on Wednesday, okay, the event on Saturday. We need the ticket price for the cinema 2, and we need the venue for the magic flute. So as quickly as you can, you should be looking at the information that you need to find. And again, no more than 3 words. So for the venue, it can only be 3 words maximum. It could be 1 word, it could be 2, it could be 3, but it cannot be any more. So again, we have to be quick at the beginning to identify what information we are listening for. Question 5, sentence completion. So these questions focus on the ability to identify key information. So we have to kind of understand the cause and effects. One thing happened as a result of something else happening. So you will read a set of sentences that will summarize information from the recording, and then you will fill in a gap in each sentence. So again, it's really important you read the question because a word limit is given. No more than 1 word and or a number, or maybe no more than 2 words per answer. So again, we have to be very, very careful to read those questions carefully. Again, you're penalized if for writing more than the stated number of words. So here's a kind of example. Now, I think this kind of listening is what people are most familiar with. I have seen so many English textbooks that do this style of gap fill listening. Maybe some of you have done this before. If you have done this before, write in the chat, tell me about your experiences of these types of listening questions. But yeah, what we need to do here is listen and try to home in on what they're saying, follow what they're saying, and then when we get to the missing word, quickly write it down. Okay. Again, we follow, keep following, get to the word and write it down. So I think sentence completion is one of those questions most English students do from a very young age. I've seen elementary school and middle school and high school textbooks that all do this type of listening. Now, that doesn't mean this part is easier than the other parts, but I think it is one part that most people are familiar with. We're just listening for the missing words. And again, important, look here, write no more than 2 words for each answer. So there can only be a maximum of 2 words. It could be 1 or 2, 1 or 2, 1 or 2, 1 or 2, 1 or 2 words. 5 points in this part. So yeah, this could be quite difficult. Remember, we're only hearing the speech once. So if we miss the word, it's gone. If you do miss the word, do not panic. Just forget about it. You've missed it. Forget about it. If you start panicking, if you miss this word and you panic, you're probably going to miss this one. And you panic again, you'll miss this one and this one. So if you miss something, forget about it. Focus on the next part. As I've said before in the Ielts test, it's all about keeping moving forward. So that's question type number 5. And we have one more type of question, and those are the short answer questions. So these focus on the ability to listen for real facts, facts like places, prices, times, names, all of these sorts of things. And the short answers, we're just going to write after they ask for whatever it may be. What was the name of the cinema? Oh, it was called, and so we don't make a sentence like it was called the place. No, we would just write the name, the place. How much was a cup of coffee? We don't write a cup of coffee was £8. Nope, nope. We just write the price, £8. So it's a short answer we need to give in this part. So you're required to read a question and then write a short answer using the information. A word limit is given again. So please remember to read these word limits. You will be penalized if you go over the stated number of words. So you should check that limit carefully. So here is an example of some short answer questions. Again, notice here, no more than 3 words and or a number for each answer. So what 2 factors can make social contact in a foreign country difficult? Maybe the answer was language and culture, possibly. So that's all we would write here. Which types of community group does the speaker give examples of? Well, we've already got one, theatre. Maybe the next one was sports clubs, and the next one was study groups. Again, we just write a short answer. Again, in which 2 places can information about community activities be found? Well, maybe it is community centre, library. We only write the words. We don't make a sentence in these answers. So those are the 6 types of question you can face. We've got multiple choice. And remember, we've got kind of 2 types of these where we choose one answer or we choose 2 or 3 answers from a list. We have matching, where we've got the answers and we need to match them to information. We've got labeling a map or a diagram as well, something like this. We have completing a chart, so some missing information. We need to find it. We have the sentence completion here. And then we have our short answer questions. So lots of different types of possible questions in the listening, 4 different types of recordings that we will listen to as well. So Layla's saying here, I think it would be very difficult to remember a specific word from the listening to the recordings. Yep, sometimes it will be difficult, Layla. As I said before, if you miss a word or you miss something, forget about it. Keep moving forward. And also, as I remember, I had this kind of question when I was in high school and middle school. Yeah, Layla, I think it's very common in middle school, high school for these types of listening. So maybe you'll be a little bit more familiar with these kinds of questions, more so than some of the others. Um, Remember the IELTS listening exam will be a little bit more advanced. I think recordings 1 and 2 will probably be similar to your middle school and high school. Recordings 3 and 4 will probably be a little bit different because they'll be about a more specific academic topic. Um, we should really be more calm to be able to understand and catch what we listen to. Yeah, it's not easy to remain calm when you are taking a test, but that is great advice. Trying to stay calm. Don't worry if you miss something. Yeah, trying to get rid of those nerves is very important. We don't have time to doubt. If we don't know, next one, yeah, that's it. Exactly, Anna Maria. If you don't know it, you don't know it. Searching your brain for it is not going to find the answer. If you miss it in the listening, you've missed it, I think. So go on to the next one. Um, yeah. So names of places can be hard to write if we're hearing it for the first time. Yes, Sleepwalker. However, usually the names of the places they will not be short answers. Sometimes they will, but most of the time the place name will be written and it will be in a matching answer, or it will be in a multiple choice answer as well. So yeah, because sometimes place names, the spelling could be a little bit tough. Okay, could you please simple? Okay, so again, if we look at this here, write no more than 3 words and or a number. So this type of question, number 11, we can only write a maximum of 3 words, or maybe 3 words and a number, or just a number. So that's what that is meaning, no more than 3 words. So let's say, what 2 factors can make social contact in a foreign country difficult? I think culture makes social contact difficult. No, that is more than 3 words. That would be wrong. No more than 3 words means 3 maximum. So we could just write culture, 1 word. That's completely fine, as long as that was in the listening. So that's basically what they mean by no more than 3 words. However, it could be 3 words and a number. So it could be 3 well, for this one it probably wouldn't be a number, but in some cases it could be a number and a word. That would be fine, or it could just be a number. So that's basically what we're meaning by this sentence. No, not 2 words. No more than 3 means 3, 2, or 1. So 2 words is fine. 3 words is fine. 1 word is fine. No more than 3 words means 3 is the maximum, but it could also be 1 or 2. So that's what we mean here. Min is saying for personal names and specific names for places, you have to capitalize the first letters, haven't you? Yes. So for any city name or place name or for people's names, we always use a capital letter at the beginning. Yeah. And I think codes and proper nouns are often spelled in the listening test. Yeah, quite often. Codes. I'm not sure what you mean by codes here, but yeah, certainly proper nouns. Yeah. And Layla saying, thanks, James. I got it. Excellent, Layla. Thank you very much. Okay, so the final thing we want to look at with the listening test is the scoring system. So, like all parts of the IELTS test, it's scored by certified markers. All answer sheets are then further analysed by Cambridge English after the initial grading. So they will go into a lot of detail here. So some IELTS listening papers are graded 2 or 3 times just to make sure they've got the correct score. So once they get your score out of 40, they will then convert that into a band score. So yeah, 40 questions. If you get 39 points, that will be converted into a band score. If you get 32 points, you will get a band score. They are reported in whole bands like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, and half bands. That would be 2.5, 4.5, 7.5, and so on. One final thing you should be aware of with the scoring is that care should be taken when writing answers on the answer sheet, as poor spelling and grammar are penalized. So it's important that we spell the words correctly, and if there is a case where we have to use short sentence with some grammar, that will be penalized. So care should be taken for that. So again, a rough idea here. Yeah, we've got the scoring system. So 9 points would be 39 to 40, 37 to 38 would be 8.5, 35 to 36 would be 8, and so on. So yeah, it just kind of gives us an idea of how we turn those points into your band score. So again, if you're down and you only score 4 out of 40, your band score is 2.5, very low. So I think a lot of people are aiming around kind of between 6 and 8. So for most immigration purposes and university entrance and things like that, these are the kind of scores you're looking at. So 23 gets you up to a band 6. 27 can get a 6.5. 30 points, you're up to band 7. 33, you're up to 7.5. 35, you're up to 8. So I think from what I gather, most people are aiming around here. This is what would be required in that speaking test. In the listening test. So I think that's pretty much everything we need to know about the listening test. Again, as usual, if you've got any questions, you can write them in the chat and I'll answer them before the end of today's live stream. If you're watching this at a later time and you have some questions, write them in the comments section of the YouTube video as well. I will answer on there as well. Please, everyone, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you can. I'm going to answer just a few more questions before we finish today's live stream. So let's see. Layla is saying, thanks, James. I got it. Excellent. I meant by codes like ID numbers or something like that. Now, this is an interesting point you bring up, Eunice, because I've seen questions before where it gives you part of an ID number or part of a phone number, and you have to finish off that phone number. So yeah, sometimes codes like ID numbers or phone numbers, sometimes even a reservation number, sometimes you may be asked to complete those. Yeah, so that is possible. So sorry, I didn't understand what you meant by codes, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense there. For you, what is the most difficult part of IELTS, James? Well, for me, nowadays, because I've been familiar with the test for so long, Anna Maria, all parts are kind of equal for me. Um, yeah, I think it's a difficult question, and also for other students, it's really difficult to answer that as well. Some students may be very strong at speaking, but maybe their writing's not so good. So the writing would be more difficult for them. Maybe another student is really good at reading and listening, but their speaking's not so good. So I think for me, I think they're all equally difficult. I wouldn't say one is easier than the other or one is more difficult. It really depends on your background and what your strengths and weaknesses are. So every student is going to be different. A few years ago, I taught a student for about 6 months, and she was excellent at reading and listening, but she really struggled with writing and speaking. So she spent most of her time practicing them, and when it came to the test, she got a great score on reading, great score on listening, and she did okay in the writing, and she ended up doing quite well in the speaking. But those were the two that she really struggled with. So it really depends on the person, Anna Maria. Different people have different strengths and different weaknesses. You're welcome, Sleepwalker. Very good. And we've got document identification number. Yeah. So that could be another thing that they ask you, like a reservation number as well, that kind of thing. Don't we have homework for this live class? No, there is no homework in today's live class, Layla. I just thought today, because it was a general explanation of the listening, there's nothing that I really thought would be worthwhile doing in homework. There will be some homework in the other lessons this week, though. You're welcome, Anna Maria. Yeah, Sleepwalker saying it depends on the person, I guess. Listening part seems really difficult. Some people will think that Sleepwalker. Other people will think, well, no, the listening's not too bad. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. I think one thing I would say about the listening is it is something that you can get better at quickly with practice. Practicing a lot of previous tests can really get you up to speed quickly. You can learn where to listen for the information, where to find it, how to identify what the questions are asking for. So the listening part is one of those parts where doing a lot of practice tests can really help you, I think. Okay, you are very welcome, Layla. And Anna Maria is also saying listening looks so hard. Yep, Anna Maria. And Lavanya saying thank you, James. And you are very, very welcome, Lavanya. Eunice is saying thank you so much, Teacher James. You try to make things easy for us. Well, thank you for saying so, Eunice. I do try to keep things as simple as possible. James, why is it you know so much about Ielts? Maybe I missed that information. Have you been an examiner on this test? No, I've never been an examiner on this test, but I have taught many, many students over the years on the Ielts test. I've been familiar with this test for 15 to 20 years, Sleepwalker. So I have been aware of it, and obviously being British as well, I was always kind of aware of Cambridge tests. So, yeah, when I started teaching, it was something people asked about. People wanted to get better at practicing how to do it. So, yeah, it's just something that I've been doing for a very, very long time, Sleepwalker. So that's why I know so much about it. Okay, so we are going to finish up today's live stream there. Thank you everyone for joining. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to join the WhatsApp group, please check the link below the video. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next live stream. Bye, everyone.